wanna get high, man?
Let's stimulate your mind.
Get up, Chucky! What have we got here? A fucking comedian.
Rojan Kim.
Hello, and welcome to the Rojan Kim Cast. It's me, Rojan Kim. Thank you so much for joining me today for episode 228. It's February 25th, the evening of the 25th, as I am recording this. It's Thursday, heading into Friday. I'm in love. Why do I always do this? I'm a 90s kid. I'm a kid from the 90s. I was a teenager in the 90s. I got a blowjob in the 90s. All right. That's it. Just had one whole decade of the 90s. Just one, and he was amazing. Okay. All right. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for joining me. I wrote a list of things I wanted to talk about, but then I wrote down Weimar Republic. I don't know why. Republic. You know about it? Weimar Republic's a little tiny little government that occurred right after, in between the Nazis and the, I guess they were Germans, Prussian. No, they were Germans. They were Germans under the Kaiser for World War I. They lost World War I. They had all these reparations, and then they couldn't, and their economy just broke down. Their money got inflated, and then it just I just reading these little excerpts of like newspaper articles or whatever, or like books about it, about how like people would just fucking be playing the market. Their money would be so worthless that as soon as they got paid, they would just fucking throw it into the market. And everybody just had stock tips, like the elevator man, the fucking grocery man, like everybody. You know, it was like, it's no different than today. I mean, it doesn't matter if you don't have phones. It doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter if you don't have the internet, phones, or whatever. It's still the speed of thought and the speed of sound. Like, people are going to communicate. That's all the market is, right? All the markets are just people, just a bunch of people, and it's just human psychology. And it doesn't really matter, I mean, it matters to some extent if you have like fucking AIs and algorithms fucking doing all this shit, throwing in there, they're just like buy, sell, buy. It used to just be guys in a pit going buy, sell, buy. Now it's robots just going buy, sell. It's just fucking. So I guess it's different in that way. The emotion and the passion has been taken out, but not from regular suckers like you and me who play the market, who have no money and still have emotions and will lose it all because in the end you're playing against bunch of Chinese people, actually, Chinese, worst dealers, scary dealers, the scariest dealers, and we're in the most unregulated casino in the world. Well, crypto, I guess, is the most unregulated casino. The stock market is the second most unregulated casino. What is it? What is a stock? What is a stock? Like, what is anything? What is a money? What is a stock? It's like shares you issue into a company. It used to be that you owned the company, right? Like this means you own the company. It's like, wow, it means something, right? I own a piece of Coca-Cola, or I own a piece of Disney, like I own a piece of a company I really respect. I own a piece of this company. But then I guess suddenly, like one day, the companies were allowed to just like issue more stock. You'd be like, yeah, we're going to do, or they could do things like stock splits. They could do it. There's all this finagling you could do with the stocks. So that it's just like, well, what is it worth now? Does that mean that now I have less because you decided to make more or whatever? What does it even mean? And in the end, it doesn't really mean you own a share. You know what I mean? Like nowadays, if you buy a share of stock on Robinhood, that's like just a fucking share of stock that Robinhood buys and tells you that you own, but you don't actually own. They own it. You know what I mean? Like if what we learned from this whole GameStop thing is that what Robinhood does, the way it makes money, is it takes everybody's trading behavior and just gives it to hedge funds so they could trade against you and me. You know what I mean? They could trade against suckers. So there's like, yeah, you get it. In your fun little Robinhood account, you get it. Yeah, here's your stock, and and you could make some money, like if shit goes up. But on the other hand, the way Robinhood makes money is they take all that input you give them, all your trades, all your decisions, probably everywhere you look. It's like there's shit recording all of that stuff, like where you're looking, how long you're on a certain stock, what decision, where you go from here and there, to give it all to fucking hedge funds. They have computers that analyze it all, and then they run fucking they come up with algorithms to counter trade fucking Robinhood traders, whatever, whatever. It's all fucking rigged, right? It's all rigged in the sense that if you're a hedge fund, and you have the capital, you can pay for this data and like front run people, just be like a little bit ahead of them, right? And I guess it's legal. It's fine. It's legal. It's totally fine. But for some reason, it's a big deal. Some guy in his basement live streaming fucking, tells people to buy GameStop, and loves cats, Guy who loves cats is dangerous. That's what they're saying, but I guess not. Overall, there was like a whole hearing. There was a whole hearing, and the fucking GameStop guy was like the fucking most succinct. I feel like I'm repeating. Did I talk about this last week? I hope not. I apologize if I'm repeating last week's episode. This week, I may be a time traveler. I may be from last week. The Rojan you saw last week was actually from this week. It was just that might have been why I was acting weird. If you saw me and I was acting weird, that might have been why. Anyways, why Mar Republic? Why Mar? Because I love you. Okay, because America. What are we doing? America, what are we going to do? America is printing money like crazy. Duh. Like, that's just obvious. We printed something like, I don't know. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Like 30, 40% of our money supply of the total amount of dollars this year. Okay. So, and if anything, what we've become as a society is like a money worshiping society. Like the end all be all to everything is money, right? Like it was cool that Trump was a billionaire. That was like one of the cool things about him was that he was rich, right? Like in ancient Rome, that was not cool. It was not cool if you were rich. It was kind of looked down upon. It meant that you spent your time like fucking hoarding riches like some weirdo instead of getting out there and murdering Gauls, murdering Germans in Germania, conquering barbarians, and bringing home slaves and gold for the glory of Rome. Do you understand? That's what honor. Okay. I mean, there is no honor nowadays. There's no honor nowadays. Okay, what is it? It's like, how much is it? How much can I buy that? Can I buy your honor from you for Bitcoin? Your honor? That's a thing you could say to a judge. If you're trying to bribe a judge, that's something you could say. Can I buy your honor from you? Your honor. All right. Money. Money. I don't know. I always had a difficult relationship with money because my dad, it was always all about money all the time with it, all this money all the time, always obsessing with it. It was the 80s, obsessing with it, I feel like that's just like the problem. The problem with our society is that our solution to everything is to just unload money onto it. Just print money, just make more money. And then people likewise do the same thing. Our solution is I used to say this back in after the financial crisis, I'm going to spend my way out of this depression. I was just taking on more debt. I was just shooting films. I was fucking doing whatever, and do I regret it? No, I don't regret it. Okay, I blew a lot of money making dumbass fucking shorts, surviving, whatever, living in New York, smoking a lot of weed, making shorts, doing comedy, fucking, using credit cards, and fucking whatever, just fund all that. Do I regret it? No. Am I in a lot of debt that I can't pay and they're coming at? Sure. But you know what? It was worth it. I don't care. But you know what? Who else is in debt? Everybody. Okay? Everybody is in debt. I'm one of them. Am I the only guy in debt? That would be crazy if I was the only guy in America who's in debt. It'd be like, on the news today, the only man in America with debt, Rojan Kim, today took on more debt to buy Bitcoin. Like, if that would be crazy. And then I should be jailed as the only person in the country who's taken on debt. But no, I'm not the only. Everybody's taking on debt. They have to. Everybody's taking on debt. The it's getting away from you. No one can afford anything anymore. Back in my parents' day, they could pay for college. Right? Back in their parents' day, they could probably buy college with a part-time job. You know what I mean? Like, it's like the amount of wealth that was amassed by the ordinary person is no longer, It's just no longer there. It's all sucked up. It's gone upwards. It's that just the disparity of wealth is the widest it's ever been since the 20s. And that's probably not a. Is it a coincidence that it's the Roaring 20s? This is the Roaring 20s of the 21st century, but will it be roaring? Right? Roaring Kitty was the name of the GameStop guy. Will it be a Roaring Kitty of a decade? I don't know. All right. I don't know, man. I just know that, like, I think this idea of money, and I think it's all, it's with, like, the whole idea of the Fed and fiat currency and how it's tied to nothing. So then it's ultimately debasing, and that debasement will lead to the debasement of culture. Just if I can read Ron Paul shit or listen to Ron Paul for a lot of stuff about that, and a lot of other Austrian economic people and whatever, like, it's just about, like, when the value of your money is not tied to anything, it tends toward corruption and decadence, right? Because then you're just like, all that matters is having a bunch of it and using it to buy stuff, and then you just want to buy stuff anyways because it doesn't matter. You shouldn't hold on to the money. The money's going to lose value. So just keep buying stuff, and then the other thing you can do with it is war. War is great. You can do a lot of war with it because it's just fucking. You just start throwing money into like fucking Uncle Sam's Guns and Butter Emporium last time. Like fucking, you just fucking. The whole thing is just a slush pile of money, and the Romans did the same thing. Every empire's done the same thing, overextending itself, just fucking printing money, just fucking, and then of course, over time, as Max Kaiser says, I don't know if he's probably the best boomer out there. Max Kaiser says, every fiat currency has gone down to zero. Everyone in history, not a single one. I mean, America is the kind of big dick motherfucker that's gonna be like, hold my beer. What? Every fiat currency has gone to zero. Fuck that. Hold my beer. I'm fucking. Every empire has lost everything in Afghanistan. Hold my beer. Right? Every empire has lost everything once all the genders start getting confused and none of the words mean anything, and it's just nothing has any meaning anymore. There's celebrity chefs that happens to every empire. Hold my beer. I think it's a bit of hubris on our part socially, and we're starting to see, some of the pains. Maybe, I don't know. That's the whole thing. Is it all going to just fucking come crashing down? Ron Paul's been talking about it for like 50 years. But it hasn't happened. But does it mean it's not going to happen? Or does it mean that it's just when it's going to happen big? It's going to be big, right? Or is he just wrong? Maybe we can print our way out of it. Maybe you can just take on more debt and just live forever. Hey, listen, I just keep on taking debt, more and more debt, and just die. And then that's it. I won't have kids. You know what I mean? I just die. Just debt, die. That's life. Life is going to debt and just dying, and then that's it. Yay! There, I don't know. Everything is just doesn't mean anything. I watch my dad chase money, never having it. Fucking never being around. Like and for what? I don't even know. I don't even know what the guy fucking likes to do for fun. Well, I kind of do. He likes to watch movies. He likes to veg and watch movies, do nothing, or go out and chase whores. I guess now I know that he likes Chinese whores. He's the guy who likes Chinese whores. And they do cost a pretty penny. They do cost a pretty penny. All right. Yeah, I feel like maybe that's why that generation, boomer generation, I don't know, maybe every generation in this period, this 20th century, 21st century period, late 20th century, early 20th, this period of my life, in my lifetime, I'm acting like this is some historical period. I'm just talking about in my lifetime, the people I've met, this sort of corruption, like people are corrupted from the inside. Like nothing has any meaning anymore. They don't hold any value. So then nothing they say really matters. What are they even saying? Most people are just repeating stuff. I mean, maybe I am too. I don't know. But most people I just find they're just saying stuff. They're saying stuff they don't believe in, or do they? I don't know. I was like, dude, there's this guy, he's Justin Glockler. He's fucking, he's a comedian. And he's making a lot of money on the stock, Gevo stock or something. Gevo's doing great. A lot of stocks are doing great. He's doing great. He's fucking up big, whatever. And then I was like, you should take some profit off of that. You should take some profit, put some of it in Bitcoin. I'm not telling him to sell it all. I'm not telling him to get out of stocks. I'm not telling him unless stocks are inflated and there's going to be a market crash or any. I'm not telling him he's wrong. I'm just saying, hey man, think about turning some of that stock in cash since you're up. Like just cash out what you invested, whatever, and then let the rest ride. But just take that cash and put it into Bitcoin, just a little bit. Just put it in Bitcoin. And then he was like, but like Bitcoin, it's like there's like cartels use them and stuff, for like. I'm like, what? Like a cartel? What do you mean? I was like, what? He was like, yeah, they're just used for a lot of black market activity. I was like, what are you? This guy used to be like a meth head. Like, what are you talking about? He used to buy drugs. Would you use Bitcoin to buy your drugs? Like, no, you used money. Use fucking US dollars. Like I did, like most everybody. I use Bitcoin too to buy drugs, and I regret it only because now that would have been worth more. But whatever, if I never, if I didn't use the Bitcoin to buy the drugs back then, the Bitcoin might not be worth this much. So no regrets. You cannot live with regrets. You can't have all these regrets going through life, okay? And you gotta take a chance, and you gotta like think about the opinions you're having. Like his opinion was that like it's not a good place to put any money because it's used for illicit activities. It doesn't make sense. It's like the dollar. What? Everything's done in the dollar. Like everything. There's supposed to be cocaine on all dollar. Most dollar has cocaine on it. Like all right. Anyways. So then if you think about it, just think about it for a second, then you wonder, like, why do I have this opinion? And I had opinions like this. I used to fucking think stuff, I don't know, that all people were equal. I used to think, I don't know, you just said that America is the greatest country in the land or whatever, or that, like, country, like fucking people, the politicians know what they're doing. That was one of them. Or the government knows what it's doing. Or like the wars. Like I was like, all right, we're in all these wars, whatever, but I'm sure we're like the best military in the world. We must have a plan. Start listening or reading Scott Horton, all right? He's done a lot of research on this shit. He'll tell you about all that. There was no plan. All right, anyways. So just like that. This is all fucking connected, all right? Because I'm talking, like, in order to go to all these wars, we need to debase our currency. That's where it comes. It starts from Nam. Debase the currency. Korea was the last war, okay, on a currency pegged on the dollar, on gold, okay, where gold's pegged to the dollar. That was a real currency that was a real war, okay? That was a real war. Golden War, all right? After that, Vietnam War is fucking, it's a fiat war, man. It's fucking, doesn't mean anything. What does it even mean, man? All the soldiers on acid shooting at each other. It doesn't mean anything, okay? The money doesn't mean anything, but it's funding these wars, and the wars are meaningless. What does the war mean? Why? We don't even know. We don't even care. It doesn't even matter. War is just sort of like a weird inconvenience, like homeless people. There's a homeless. I hate them. They're there, but it's not like they're like in your house, right? You're like, I hate terrorists, I hate these terrorists, but they're not in your house. They're over there, and these robots are killing them, and I guess it's fine. It's our tax dollars. It's all for a good cause, right? And yeah, it is. Yeah. Keep believing that. Keep believing that the things you think, you have strong opinions. Suddenly you have a strong opinion. You have no idea why, though, really. Just think about it. Think about, like, why do I actually have this? Like, it's like, and it's not like because you're stupid. It's just human nature. It's human nature to, first of all, we're social. Secondly, we're not rational. I think it's like a mistake. I read, who's fucking the Dilbert guy? The Dilbert guy. Dilbert, the comic, Scott Adams. Scott Adams, noted Trump supporter. Scott Adams, he's also like a trained hypnotist or whatever. He's like, the guy's a hypnotist, and he's basically just talking about how, like, we have these unconscious biases, we have these emotions, we have irrationality, and the reason why hypnosis actually works is because of that. Because what he was just saying, once you learn hypnosis, one of the things you learn is that you have the misconception, just as a thinking being, just from your own point of view, that we are 90% intellectual and 10% emotional. You know, you think you're like, I have a handle on this, but I guess science and I guess science ultimately dictates that no, it's not true. It's I actually remember learning this in psychology that the executive function of the brain, right, the higher part of the brain that's spent, the intellect as we call it, you know, like it's most of the time it's spent tamping down these primal urges, like all your emotions, you know, and when things go out of whack, it's because of that sort of top-down operating system isn't quite working. You know what I mean? Like it's not quite. And the reason why people will believe irrational things, people will believe things that they don't actually believe themselves, but then will double down on it, is because we are underneath irrational. And it's because we think we're rational that we can be fooled. That's how con men work too. That's how, you know, it's like hypnotists, con men, you know, comedians. It's the same thing. It's like it's pulling out the irrational from the rational. So it's like set up punch. Set up punch is essentially, here I go, Professor Comedy, breaking it down. But yeah, I mean, like set up punch is fucking, you got irrational part and then the punch. This is an irrational part, right? It's usually surprise or whatever the fuck. Anyways, learn to write a joke, bitch. Okay. I don't know why I said that. All right. I just feel like all this money, so what does it do? Creates the impulse to buy, right? Buy more, keep buying, sell, and buy, sell, like a compulsive sort of buy, sell. That's why, like, dude, I'll fucking watch crypto charts and watching the price going up and down. So buy, sell, buy. And intellectually, I know that, like, listen, the underlying whole point of, like, what I'm coming around to is that the money is meaningless. So then the number doesn't matter. So then what's the point of just staring at the number all day? You know, why is that? It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. It's either I believe it's going to go up or it's going to go down. You know, that's it. It's either going to go up or it's going to go down. That's it. It could go sideways. I guess it could go sideways for a while. It could go sideways, but it can't go upside down. I mean, it can't go inside out. There's a couple things it can't do, right? Pretty much limited to up, down, same. All right, there you go. But still, that's the intellect. The irrational part of me, though, is just like, I'm on that TradingView app. I'm on the freaking app. I'm looking at the candlestick. Up, red, green, red, green, red. I learned to look at order flows on Coinbase Pro. There's a fucking, you can see the greens are the sales, sells, and the buys, sells, buys, and the prices in the middle, and the order flows going down, and then it's like orders like getting filled, and then I'm like, I should have more screens. I should have like 50 more screens. I need screens. My whole wall needs to be like 10 screens. So I can have just charts. And so, you know, it could really kind of take you down a crazy rabbit hole. And because it's all this, it's a biological impulse, right? It's like making predictions, being right, just being Asian, I guess. I love gambling. Like all these things, I think, add up to, you know, why I spend so much of my time just looking at charts or looking at prices. Okay. Even though I know, you know, I'm getting over it, though. I'm understanding. I'm coming around. I think it's all part of the evolution of, like, coming around onto Bitcoin, I guess. Learning about markets, that too, you know, all that stuff. You try to find value in stuff, but I don't know. It's just that, you know, I think this is sort of the, like, what all the philosophers and people like Ron Paul, whatever, like talking about how like the culture erodes, you know, like the currency kind of dictates the culture, and somehow the founding fathers knew that because in the Constitution they actually wrote what a dollar should be in gold and silver. But we went off of that. We said, "Fuck you, founding fathers! Fuck you in the face," and just took it off, right? And I think the Weimar Republic talks about how like people became degenerate. Start selling sex because like there's commodities were useless. The price, you couldn't peg the price on anything, so they just start selling pussy, right? You'd sell pussy and ass and just fucking sell whatever. Like just sell your body. That's all you had. You had nothing left but your body, and you just sell that. And for what? How could you dictate the price? You probably sell it for food, sell it for goods. You know, this is just what would naturally happen. Chimpanzees, the chimpanzee women, the female chimpanzees would present, you know, the pussy to the male chimpanzees coming back from the hunt, for meat. It's just part of our DNA. So I just think that all of it is part of this irrational behavior, and even the people that you're like, I hate those guys. Those, these sort of warlike, sort of Coke and Pepsi, tribalism, which is really just a form of marketing that's created in this country. It's just all a sham, right? It's all just a big scam. It's all a big scam because there's no meaning underneath any of it. It's just the conflict that generates money because of the, just the eyeballs and stuff like that. It's just all advertising and marketing. None of it means anything, all right? So then I think it infects just like people, this cultural consciousness, the psyche of people. It's like my dad. He wasn't a dad. I mean, he just wasn't around. His money was more important to him. Money and whores were more important to him. Money, just a pleasure, and it probably was a bummer. I was kind of a moody kid, okay? I'm a little fat, moody kid. I was probably kind of a bummer to be around. So I get it. Chinese whores are way more fun than some fat little Korean kid who's like, sort of, I guess I was kind of emo. I don't know. No, I wasn't emo like goth. I liked Nirvana. No, I like grunge. I like Green Day. I like grunge. I was a 90s alterna rock kid. I like Nirvana. I wasn't like super into Nirvana until later. Mostly because like it was like a lot of gay guys into. I don't know. No, I don't think that's why. I don't know. Maybe was I homophobic? Yeah, fuck yeah. All right. Sorry. Why do I keep? Because this reminds me of this guy that I used to work for. I made videos for this guy. He had this company called Shark Stores, and they sold jewelry online. It was just like a deal a day website. So it was like one item a day. And I made these videos for him, whatever. And he smoked tons of weed, and so we were smoking weed together one day. And he was like, Rojan, man, I built this company up from nothing, blood, sweat, and tears, He's all fucking smoking, you know what I mean, bro? It's just fucking nothing. And I built something, it's a great feeling. And I was like, yeah, man, it's fucking, that sounds awesome. I'd love to do that too one day or whatever, And then he was like, you know what my dream is, man? You know what my dream is? My dream is to one day build up my company, just get it real solid, just build it up, just get, and it came from nothing, just really just build it up and then sell it to the highest bidder. That's what he said. And then sell it to Macy's or something like that. And then sell it. Macy's, where's Macy's now? And then sell it. Right, that's what he said. He said put in all this work, this blood, sweat, and tears, this fucking equity, right? The sweat equity, as people call, people call it that. I hate that term, but you know what I mean? Like just ownership, building something, and then you sold it. Then to sell it is the highest value. And so you understand why in Roman times it was not held in high esteem to be a rich person versus an honorable person. You see, the rich guy would sell a company for money so they could have a bunch of money, right? But what the fuck's the point of that? Is like a guy with honor. What is he gonna? He's gonna build an institution, okay? He'll build something that lasts beyond him, okay? It's not about him anymore. It's about whatever, posterity. It's about his children, whatever. It's about immortality through living on in people's minds as an idea, right? Because you can't live on as a human being. You can't take your money with you. You die, and the money people just come and take your money, and then that money gets spent, and those people die. It's all impermanent. Okay, we're all gonna die. All right. So, I feel like we're like it's all this is like people are just searching for meaning, right? Because everything's meaningless. Nothing has meaning anymore. It's hard to say. Is it because? I mean, some people, libertarians, Austrian economics, Austrian economists would say that yes, it is because we went onto a fiat standard that our culture is debased. Okay, because it's all economic. It just makes sense, right? Because money, in essence, what is money? Like what the fuck is money? Like what is it, right? It's just something I use to buy. You ever take drugs? You use money to buy the drugs, right? You take the drugs and then you think to yourself, what's money? Right? You take the money, you buy the drugs, Then when you're on the drugs, you're like, what the fuck is money? Like, I just took these drugs and I used this to get here. But now that I'm here, I'm like, what the fuck is this? Right? Why? I can't take this. This won't give me this, but somehow this get me that. This gets me the acid gets me here. But I just want the acid. I don't want that. That's not important to me. You're important to me, dog. And then you talk to the dog for a while. You know, I talk to the dog. You know, whatever. But you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying, man? Like, you know what I'm saying, man? Like, you sometimes gain a perspective where you, like, unhook yourself from this, like, the hooks of money, right? Like, you just unshackle yourself from the fiat slave master, right? Like, and then you just, like, look at it and you're like, what is this? Just meaningless paper. This is bullshit. It's like, it's only worth what you could get with it, but it's not worth anything in and of itself. And then to put value in it is just, it's just lame. It's just lame. It's just boring. It's lame. It's not even, like, despicable. I don't know. I guess in Roman times, it was. I keep talking about Roman times. Roman times, it was kind of despicable. I mean, you could get stuff so people would kiss your ass or whatever, but it was like, whatever, he's rich. You could fucking just kill him. You could just kill him and take his riches if you could do that. You could kill him in battle. You could challenge him one-on-one. Trial by combat, and that's honorable. And then by the rules of honor, I could take all your shit if I kick your ass. So, you know, there was a time when that was important. And I think it's a fallacy to think that it's not important. And what's going to happen is our other societies, other cultures where that is important are going to outperform our culture or our dominant culture. You know, I think inside of American culture, you have this conflict between honor cultures, you know, honor cultures and non-honor cultures. The South and North are kind of like that. Immigrant families, you know, people who come from recent waves of immigrants from wherever the fuck, doesn't matter from where. It's any recent old country immigrant, you know, like your grandparents or whatever, great-grandparents even, like fucking there's still some sense of honor. But I think after like 2-3 generations, it starts getting bred out of you. You know, it starts, you become real Americans where you just don't care for a fuck. You don't care about anything, right? Except what makes me happy. Yeah, so I think it's everything, all of it. It's all con, right? It's all just a manufacture. It's just sort of like a big old slush fund. It's just a big old like, it's like one of those things in the game shows where you go inside a booth and they just turn on the money machine and there's just money floating. You're just trying to grab it all. You're just like there's just this hysterical, just fucking. Meanwhile, you know, just they're just like taking all the air out of the rest of the room. Like once the door opens, there's gonna be no air. You're just gonna have piles of money, and there's gonna be no air. Okay, you gotta all put it into perspective. It's funny. The kids. I call them the kids. I don't know. These guys I listen to, they have a podcast called Tales from the Crypt. They're like Bitcoiner guys, but they call dollars cuck bucks. That's what the kids are calling it. You get it? Cuck bucks. You want to be on board the cuck buck train? No, you gotta understand. The kids knew about Trump coming, and the kids know about the cuck bucks. So you want to fucking get off those cuck bucks. Or, I mean, on the other hand, there may be some value into trying to get as many cuck bucks as possible and outrun the market, outrun everything, outrun the bubble, try to outrun it all. Maybe you can do it. Maybe like Indiana Jones, grabbing the fucking thing, you got your pile of cuck bucks, and you're just fucking running, the boulders coming in and everything, and the fucking darts, and you fucking the traps, you gotta jump over the snake pit, and you fucking slide, and you go through, and the fucking stone doors coming down, and you slide, and you fucking, your hat has some more cuck bucks in, you drop it, and you gotta get the hat, dude, and you fucking at the last minute, and then you get it, and you dun 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 dun. Like maybe you could make it, you could fucking make it through that window as it's closing. It's like fucking Star Wars and the Death Star, and it's just a little vent, and you're like, use the Force, Luke, and then it's like photon torpedoes, and then you know, maybe that could happen. Okay, but maybe it's like what I was saying earlier. Maybe it's this lizard brain. You know, it's lizard brain. It's that emotional side of you It's the emotional, irrational part thinking that that's possible. That's what I think. I used to have all these stories in my head. A lot of stories in our heads, happy endings. You could do it. You just pull it off. You can be the one. And that's not to say you can't and you won't and that you shouldn't, but most likely it won't happen. Like most likely you got to hedge. The richest men in the world are hedge funds, right? Hedge. What does that mean? Does that mean they pay a lot of money for nice bushes, for topiary, for landscaping? No, it means that they service people who have so much money they need to use other money to make sure they don't lose all their money when something happens in the market, when something bad happens, like if the stock market crashes or something. You need these guys to make sure they use this money. I'm going to use a smaller portion of my money to make sure that if something happens in the market, I don't lose all my big money, and that the little money will protect against it, like a hedge fund, right? A hedge. That's what they got. You got a hedge. Sonic the Hedgehog. You get it? Do you get it? Do you get why he's blue? I sound like a madman now. Great. All right. I should wrap it up. No. Node. That's right. I wanted to talk about the node. So I set up a Bitcoin node. Guys, I set up a Bitcoin node. I followed these instructions. So I don't know if you know what a Raspberry Pi. You know what a Raspberry Pi is? Raspberry Pi. Not actual Raspberry Pi, but it's a single board computer. Just a tiny little guy. It's about the size of I don't know why I'm talking like this. Size like a little notebook. Like a paperback novel. Do you know what that is? Do you kids know what a paperback novel is? To describe like a little index card. You know what that? Like a phone. Like bigger than a phone, but like a phone. It's this little computer. But I didn't get I don't know. It doesn't matter. I got a little computer. Followed these instructions. I flashed a hard drive. Put it on there. Ran this software. Super easy. It's called Umbrel. It helps you run a Bitcoin node. What the fuck is a Bitcoin node, you may wonder? Well, I'll try to explain it the best I can. I'm learning about all of this. A Bitcoin node is essentially, it's like, look, the internet is made out of a bunch of computers, right? So the Bitcoin network is made out of a bunch of computers, basically called nodes. There's nodes and there's miners, right? And the miners are processing. Yeah, they're processing transactions that go through the Bitcoin network. So like when you send money to each other, the miners are like processing those things. But then at the same time, they're processing those things. They're doing this thing. I don't know. It's called fucking hash something. Basically, they're doing math. Okay, they're doing math. Solve a crazy math problem. If they solve the math problem, they get Bitcoin. That's the reward. But in the meantime, they're like working, keep the transactions going in the network. The nodes, on the other hand, are like the guys who look and see. So the metaphor I heard someone say on a podcast was the miners are like the guys who put the pieces of a puzzle together. And then the nodes are basically people who get to come along and say like, okay, that's right, or that's wrong. That's wrong. That doesn't look right there. You know what I mean? They're like validators. They come in there. And so it's not like I get anything for running a node. It just makes the network more robust, that much more robust. I'm just adding one more point of robustness. But every node gets a whole copy, like downloads a whole copy of the blockchain. So I could basically like use that as the point of contact. Like if I was going to send Bitcoin, usually what I do is you'd send it to a node somewhere out there. But this time I could send it to my node. And I could have people send things to my node, like Bitcoin to my node or whatever. But that's not even, so that's cool, right? On top of that, this Umbrel thing lets you run these apps on top of it. So it's kind of cool. There's this whole thing where it lets you like increase the privacy of your coins. Learning about all that stuff. And there's this whole other thing, which I'm super excited about. It's called Lightning. Okay, so built on top of the Bitcoin network with these nodes, they're implementing something called Lightning. And Lightning, what it's going to do is basically allow you to make transactions without having to go through the blockchain like the miners or whatever. I don't really understand like the nuts and bolts of it, but essentially what it's going to do is allow you to make transactions really fast and microtransactions, whatever. It's like not worth it to send a tiny bit of Bitcoin to somebody right now because there's transaction fees. That's what the miners get, and so on and so forth. But you can actually bypass that. You could build a second layer. That's what's happening. A second layer is coming on top of the Bitcoin network, where you could start sending little bits of Bitcoin to each other, and it doesn't cost anything, and it's like almost instantaneous. But then on top of that, somehow it can incorporate RSS feeds. It can incorporate RSS feeds, which means podcasting. Okay, which means somehow podcasting. Okay. So this new model of podcasting that's coming out is created by this guy, Adam Curry, and this other dude, Dave Jones. And Adam Curry is he's a VJ from the old MTV days, and he, I think, made the first podcast ever. He invented fucking RSS. He talked to Steve Jobs about podcasting and what an RSS feed is, which is basically like the fucking big old code, like XML code that just says how when you open your fucking iTunes or Spotify or whatever, like your app, and the list of the podcast comes out and all the episodes, whatever, all that's dictated by something called an RSS. Okay, and it's just a bunch of fucking code and shit, that just basically dictates what pictures to use with the text and this and that, all that stuff. So anyways, He basically made it. Okay, so he has come out. I mean, it's sort of like in beta, so there's sort of fucking working on it, but it's a way for podcasters to get on this network that's separate from the Apple network, right? So it could be decentralized. You could, in theory, host your own podcast. Run your own server, and host it so no one can censor you ever. And then on the Lightning Network, you could join through this application called Sphinx. So there's a Lightning network, and on top of that, there's an app called Sphinx, which is a chat. It's basically a chat over Lightning. So I guess just like money can be sent over this network instantaneously, so can messages, like text messages, and you can put up podcasts and connect this thing to it so that while people listen to your podcast, they can tip you. They can tip you sats, right? Little fractions of Bitcoin. Like they're, just like in IG Live when people hit hearts. Like I had a couple zingers back there, didn't I? And maybe it's worth $1 or $2 or pennies. I don't know. At first I'd undersell myself. Anyways, point is, it's exciting. It's a new place for podcasts to go. The podcasting is so saturated. I've been doing this thing for years, and I don't know. I get my listenership is in the hundreds. It's not. I wish it could be bigger, and maybe part of that is if I find a new network. If I find a new network, there's a lot of opportunity there. The thing about these Sphinx tribes that they're called, it's basically you have to join a tribe. There's a subscription. It's kind of like a strange, somewhat subscription-based type thing. I don't know. I wonder if user adoption there might be a wall to it because of this. But I think there's a lot of opportunity here because it means you can monetize your podcast in a decentralized way. No one can track the fucking payments, the donations people are making. It's not going to be tracked, and you get to own all your content, and there's a whole free speech thing. So anyways, a bunch of things that I'm interested in, all converging, super interesting, right? Fucking free speech, podcasting, Bitcoin, fucking technology, all converging, right? It's exciting. That's the kind of thing where I find fucking hope now, right? And I think that is why people do get orange pilled by Bitcoin, right? Why they it changes people, why it's their religion. Money, they go from money being the old religion, but money seems to be such a false god. And even the things we erect using money, like businesses, like this guy, with the shark stores, it just ultimately becomes meaningless because then his end goal is to make more money, right? If that's the goal in the end, then would you have skipped the business for the money? Probably, right? If all you want in the end is a pile of money, then why even have the business? If I could come and just be like, hey, how about I give you a pile of money now for nothing? You'd be like, okay, and you'd take it, and then you'd have a bunch of money for doing nothing. And then that's it. You would feel good. I don't know, man. I think it would be like the first Matrix. I think people need struggle. People need struggle. People need work. People need to see the results of their labor, like the fucking farmers used to, in these seasons. People used to have an honor. They used to have an honor. Okay, used to mean something. All right. Anyway, super excited by this whole podcasting 2.0 thing. That's what they're calling it. So I'm setting up a node. Okay, once I get the node up and running, try to join the Sphinx thing. Try to get on that. Then I would try to get my podcast. I'm going to try to also get off of Libsyn and Squarespace and these sort of centralized places. Try to self-host as much as possible. Okay, so might take a little while, but then I'm going to try to put all of that stuff onto the Sphinx. Try to be part of that community. Get in on that monetization, hopefully. I don't know. We'll see. It's a thing. It's a fun thing. It's a thing that could happen. I don't know. Who knows? Who knows, right? An asteroid could hit us all tomorrow. I hope it hits me and you together. All right. Let's wrap it up, guys. Thank you so much for listening to the Rojan Kimcast. Please follow me on Twitter. Find me on Signal. I guess if you're on Signal and you know my phone number, you can find me. But I'm not really doing the socials. I don't know. Go to my website. I have an email list. Eventually, I will start using that email list to direct people to the new website. Actually, I won't have a new website. Perhaps you won't need to do anything. I don't know. You know what you could do? Buy some Bitcoin. There you go. Buy some Bitcoin. But you could get on, find out. Oh, Sphinx Chat. Find out about that. See if you can get on it. I don't know. It's an app. I don't know. I'm not going to be good at advertising. So this may be my only hope at making something from this. Any of this worth, and all of it. The only reason I'm doing this is for the money. Okay, guys. So if you just gave me a pile of money, I would stop doing this. I'm holding you all hostage, essentially. Saying if you don't give me the money, I'll keep doing this. All right, guys. Thank you so much.